How important do you think is proper keyword targeting and ensuring that you're being clear what the page is about in order to rank that page really well on Google search? Well, in the example of the website that we're going to be reviewing today, you're going to see that it's absolutely everything. It's incredibly important to nail your keyword targeting well, to not be vague, because in the other case, you're going to see on the example of this website, you're not going to rank those pages well. So I'm just gonna dive right into this review and just show you like how quickly can this actually backfire and what happens when you're not being clear, when you're not placing your keywords in the right spots. Let's do it. Okay, so the website that we are going to be reviewing today is going under the name padelusa.com. It's pretty clear what it's about. They're selling paddle gear, things like rackets, shoes, bags, balls, and different accessories. Pretty much all of the paddle related stuff. And what I like about this particular website, it's really designed well. And if you watched my last video, that was all about like different collection pages and collection page SEO, showing an example of a store that could be doing so much better if they actually fixed their collection page strategy, mainly by actually increasing the number of collection pages by targeting all the different keywords. We can see on the example of padelusa.com that they're doing this part amazingly well. If you look at this particular category, like rackets, they're breaking this main Padel Rackets category inside of as many collection pages as possible. There are probably more to be found, but regardless, they're doing their job really well by identifying all of the different rackets and breaking them down like by brands. So Adidas Padel Rackets, Pro Rackets, they're doing this genius move by actually targeting different paddle players and their gear. They're also doing it by level, by style, by shape, by price. So you're essentially trying to target all of the different paddle racket related keywords by adding all the modifiers. So when people are actually searching for like women's rackets or like rackets for like beginners, rackets for like power or like control or things like that, or by price, cheap rackets and something like that. These guys have a page that could actually rank for all of those keywords, which I think is amazing, and it's exactly how it's supposed to be done. So what actually surprised me when I was looking through this website is how they actually miss some of the most basic stuff, and that basic stuff is proper keyword targeting on a page level. Or in other words, how are you communicating what is on the actual page to the Google by placing the right words inside of the right SEO elements. So if I open something like this page, this is a Padel Rackets page. And as you can see, it's a pretty regular, simple collection page on Shopify. What we have here inside of like the main SEO elements, like this is the H1, it's saying Padel Rackets. It's clearly communicating what the page is about. This is a page about Padel Rackets, so anybody searching for this on Google can actually find this page because it's pretty clear what it's about. Same goes for another element, like all of this is where they might have screwed up a little bit, but again, they're mentioning the best Padel Rackets as the sort of like the keyword in here. I'll move this closer to the beginning here, but that's less relevant. They're still, successfully communicating what the page is about. And then the rest of the page, they obviously have, the description here, which in my opinion is too long, because this could absolutely confuse Google on what the page is about, because it's providing a lot of information, and that's usually what you're doing on informational pages, like blog pages. In the case of a collection page, you kind of want to shrink that information down, because in here you actually want people to be purchasing your stuff, and you want to be showing things like product grid and so on. So that's what they're doing here as well. They have a pretty nice product grid, all of the filtering. This is also really nice, and if I saw this correctly, they've done this pretty well from like a technical standpoint. I didn't dive too deep into that because this video is more about the simple things that they missed and how much is it actually costing them. So we're just gonna move on from the actual design and structure of the page into actually the things that they're doing wrong. So this is done pretty well. If I go into like bags, I'm assuming it's gonna be the same. Padel Bags, yeah, and if I remember correctly, this one is also ranking pretty well. So if I go here, yeah, ranking for 17 keywords, organic traffic is pretty high. Let's just see, Padel Bag, position 5, Padel Bags, position 1. So they couldn't be doing this any better. If you look at the page, it's pretty clear what the page is about. It says Padel Bags. And if I look inside of the other SEO elements, again, not necessarily ideal page title, but still they're clearly communicating to Google this is the page about Padel Bags. So why am I recording this video and where they are making the mistakes? So the mistake that they're making here is that on a lot of these collection pages, they're not clearly communicating inside of the most important SEO elements what the actual page is about. So if I open something like women's rackets, what we're gonna see in here, inside of H1, it just says women. And then maybe page title is better. This is better, Padel Rackets for women, not too bad. So it does communicate in some way that this is these are the Padel Rackets for women. But regardless, inside of H1, you're just saying to Google like this is women. And I've seen this repeat across a bunch of different pages. Let's just open up a few because I do not remember all of those. Power, men's rackets. Men's is kind of similar to the women, so they're saying rackets for men. So what do you think is actually wrong here? Well, they're not saying Padel Rackets, and this is the page about Padel Rackets. And what they're communicating to Google right now is that this page is about rackets for men. And as you know it yourself, like there are tennis rackets, squash rackets, pickleball rackets, and so on. So if somebody is typing in rackets for men, that's very vague, right? They're not, they could be looking for any of these. They could be looking for tennis rackets, but they're looking for Padel Rackets. So I actually didn't check this before the call. I do wonder like if this page is actually ranking well. The URL slug clearly communicates this is Padel Rackets, but as you can see yourself, this page is actually not ranking for anything. It's 0 keywords at the moment, and I'm assuming this is because they just missed one word, which is paddle. You have to say it clearly to Google, because what you're trying to communicate right now is that this page is just about rackets for men, and that's not what you're selling. You're only selling Padel Rackets, so make sure you communicate that like very clearly, very upfront, and very straightforward. So I've seen this on several pages. This one, again, it's not Padel Rackets, it's just rackets for intermediate players. Here again, rackets in stock, good for beginners. Very weird way to phrase the H1, by the way. I don't know why would you say in stock, because it's kind of obvious. And then good for beginners, like phrasing there is a bit off. Again, they're not saying paddle. I'm obviously annoyed by this, and I'm gonna show you why, because they're leaving so much money on the table because they're making this type of mistake. In here we are seeing like even more of vagueness. Essentially, like they're just saying pure strength on this page. So what does that mean? You're trying to rank for pure strength. You're not gonna go far doing this, right? And even inside of the actual H1, actual title, it only says pure strength and then their brand name. So does this page actually rank for anything? Probably not. They're obviously trying to go for like power Padel Rackets as a keyword, which is the logical thing that you should be putting inside of H1 and page title here as well, because that's what you're trying to rank for. You're not trying to rank for pure strength. Pure strength doesn't mean anything. You can open that up on actual Google search to see what's the type of result that you're gonna get. So you're trying, like right now, this page is trying to rank for anything that is appearing right now here. So what we can see is like techno gym stuff. This is obviously like fitness app stuff, nothing about Padel Rackets, and it's a pretty vague. Pure strength doesn't really mean anything. It can be like a brand name for something, but you're never gonna get the right type of visitors coming to your website if this is how you're phrasing things on your collection pages. And I've decided to run a crawl of their website and then kind of stack that up against Ahrefs data in order to see like how well are they actually ranking on pages where they're being clear what the page is about, and how well they're not ranking on pages where they're not being clear what the page is about. And the results, kind of tell us everything. In here, I just bucketed all of it together. So in a group A, we have all of the pages that have like product plus Padel inside of each one. The total number of those pages 33, and we can see that the share of collection traffic for those is 98%. So essentially all of the traffic that is going to their collection pages is all going to the pages that are very clear what the page is about. They include the product name plus actual Padel, like they're being clear what the page is about. It could be like a page that I mentioned in the beginning, like Padel Rackets, very clear, or like Padel Bags, very clear what the page is about, and that's why those pages are picking up all of the traffic. But when they have a group B where you have like a product name but no Padel, you're not saying that these are Padel Rackets or whatever, you just have very vague things, and those pages are actually 36. That's higher than the pages that have in the group A. They only have the share of collection traffic of 1.4%, which is basically nothing. And again, if they have like a vague label, again 13 pages, that's not a low number by any means. Basically no traffic, and same for all of the player gear pages that I've said here is pretty genius. It is if they were doing it correctly. I would say it's not, because it's mostly gonna do wrong keyword targeting, but we're gonna focus more on the other stuff that it's so easily fixable that they could actually double their traffic if they just fix this. So let's look at the collection pages in more detail, and you can see like inside of this, like all of the scroll, like what is actually inside of the H1s and titles. And again, these are not the only SEO elements that matter, I'm not saying that, but you have to be absolutely clear what the page is about. Like these are the basics, and a lot of people, they're just gonna ignore the basics and they're gonna focus on like the more important stuff. You can't do that. If you mess up the basics, like all of the other stuff doesn't matter as much. And you can see like this list is ordered by the number of visits coming in from search, and what are all of the top pages showing you. Like they're inside of the group A. They do have a little bit of a group B as well over there, so that's some actually managed to rank well, but for the most part, like the ones that are doing well, they're being very clear what the page is about and what the page actually holds. And when that's not the case, well, the results are nowhere near as good. So let's just focus on the product name minus the Padel, or just a very, very vague label, like in this case, just saying women, or like level advanced pro. You can also open that one up. Like if you're gonna build a collection page for like holding all of the rackets that are for like advanced players, but you have to communicate those are exactly the type of products you're selling. If you put this level advanced pro inside of H1 and inside of your page title, you're not gonna be doing really well. So it's incredibly how simple this is, and how just adding this, and this is literally like 2 hours of work to go through all of those pages and make sure you're targeting the right keywords and make sure that you're mentioning those keywords inside of H1 and page title. Like if they fix this in a month or two, they could easily double their traffic, just because there is so many of these pages where they've built it. The total number here is like 50 pages, so pretty much 50% of their pages are very vague and missing like the key terms Padel, which is amazing because that's all they're selling. They're just selling Padel gear. They're not selling anything else. So, you have like rackets for intermediate players. I can show you all of these examples. This is where they're not mentioning the word Padel. And these are the Padel Rackets. It is a little bit funny because it's just so simple, and such a simple fix that if they just make this, they could be doing so much better. So I'm not going to go through all this entire list. I can definitely attach this in the description if you want, and just show you, like in the case of this website, how important it is to do proper targeting. Here again, same thing, diamond shaped rackets. What type of rackets? And that's why none of these pages are actually doing really well. You can see, the number of visits super small. They're not ranking for a lot of keywords here because, again, they're being very vague and they're being very they're targeting essentially the wrong keywords, and that's why they're doing pretty poorly. And you can see that these pages are actually pretty important. Like the bottom ones, not necessarily. They're also like their crawl depth is a little bit lower, so they're further away from the actual homepage, and they're also not getting a lot of internal links. So these are probably like a lot less important than the ones at the top. But we can see that all of these, like they are essentially linked from like homepage everywhere. We can see that their crawl depth is 1 click away, which means that all of these at the top, which is like 23 different pages, they are all inside of the main navigation here, because they're essentially being linked to from every page on the website, and they're getting like thousands of internal links. So these are pretty important pages. You're communicating that to Google, but you're not getting anything from them because you just missed to add like 1 or 2 different words inside of your H1 or page title. So this is gonna be it for this video. This one is gonna be a little bit shorter, but I'm happy I did this because I think it's such a simple and easy fix that I think a lot of different Shopify stores are missing, and that if they actually make a change like this, they could be doing so much better. And sometimes it is so simple. Like this is a really good brand. They're selling really good products. They have a very decent authority. I think they're overall still doing pretty well. Like if I look at their website, like I know that this is actually pretty decent. They have some backlinks. I'm not gonna go and look for like what's the quality of the backlink profile, but we can see, Google's treating them pretty well. So it obviously trusts them, the users trust them. They have quite a lot of organic traffic, so I think this is pretty good. They're obviously on an upwards traffic trend. They're doing well, all time. You can clearly see that they're going up. So these guys, I'm not gonna assume know what they're doing overall, but yeah, this is one that obviously slipped through for them. So yeah, again, I just want to make sure that I always mention this in every video. Like my goal here isn't to criticize anybody, it's not to put anybody down or anything like that. I just want to show provide some value based on like my years of experience of doing SEO, and how quick and easy can some of these fixes be that could help at this actual website, but could also help you if you're running a Shopify store, if you're running an e-commerce store, if you're not doing this stuff well, or it might make you think like, okay, what could I be doing better in terms of like just the basic SEO elements, or like proper keyword targeting on those pages. Like this could actually be useful to people, I'm hoping at least. So this is why I'm doing this. Again, I think these guys are doing amazing. It's not my idea to put them down or anything like that. So if you like this video, feel free to subscribe, share it, like. You can also send it to these guys, and I would love to see them actually fix this and see the results of that, or I might actually send it myself. So this is it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Bye bye.